Guys and girls, it is finally time to get some serious lows on the Caddy. We fitted shocks and springs beforehand, 60 millers, but now we've got some coilovers, we've got the van, we've got the coilover kit, and I am pumped. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, I need to get the van out, get it on the ramp, and I need to use blocks of wood because it's already too low to get the legs under. So we're going to have fun when it's got coilovers on. There's a lot of background noise going on the estate. We've got one guy with an angle grinder a few workshops down, and we've got another guy a few workshops up with the pneumatic fingers, you know, for poking rust off, of probably an old Transit. So you're going to have to bear with the background noise. Big shout out to Max Pedin Rods for supporting the channel. They see I had a Caddy, they got a coilover kit, and yeah, sent me out some suspension to try out. We'll give it a test and a review. I will take it for a drive out. So the later half of the video, we'll go out for a cruise and I'll tell you what I think about the suspension. I'm coming from shocks and springs, which is pretty comfy. So I'll be honest with these. I want it to look lower. If you haven't seen any previous videos, I used to use the van every day up and down my bumpy estate. So I didn't want it too firm. But now we're using it a couple of times a month. I want it to be that bit lower. We can put up with a less uncomfortable ride because we're not using it every day. Anyway, box. Can't find a fresh blade. There's obviously only one way to open a box. I'm not very good at opening boxes. So there's obviously only one way to open a box properly. And that is, of course, with a chainsaw. If you don't open your boxes with a chainsaw, what are you even doing? Well, definitely open the box a little bit. Might have made a little bit of a mess on my freshly swept up workshop. Oh, okay. It's an empty box. No, just kidding. So we got springs. You know what's going to be in the box, but I've got to show you what's going on. They are, so it's the front set. It's a front set of coilovers from what I can see. And I haven't got a big enough box, so I'm uncomfortably bent over for your viewing pleasure. Okay. Rear shocks. And a good thing, you might tell or know from previous videos, good boxing and packaging is a good start to some quality. Now, Max Pedin rods, I've used them for a few years. I've used their turbo cores. If you're a V-dub man, and you probably are because you're watching my channel, which has got mostly V-dubs on, you would have blown a turbo in the past, and you can just replace the core of the turbo. Well, Max Pedin rods, they sell them. And if you want a suspension kit like this, if you go onto the Max Pedin rods website, type in the code DTETV, you guys will get 10% off. Big shout out again to Max Pedin rods. I will put a link to this exact kit on their website. Before the code, it's 260 quid. Enter in the code DTETV, they're 176 quid. Brilliant, thank you. They also do a lot of other stuff. So if you want other stuff on there, use the code DTETV and you save yourself 10%. Rear shocks, anyway, cut to the chase. Where's the chase? Cut to it. Rear shocks, you've seen one, you've now seen two. We have got, oh, that box is tippy heavy. We have got some lowering plates. The axle flip lowering plates. They come in the kit. I have already done an axle flip on my van. We done that about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. If you want to see more on the axle flip on that video, I'll put a picture up of the video here. I won't put a link in the video because if you click away from my video, this video, on that video, you actually harm this video, mouthful. But I will put a video link to the video I made a year ago in the video description, and that explains everything to do with axle flip in the rear. Fronts. Oh. Another bulletproof packet. Oh, I can't use the chainsaw on this. Oh no. The bottom's empty. Yep, coilover kits. Comes with dampers, Lock'em doodabby flip-flops. And what I'll do, I see a lot of motors, can you just adjust my coilovers higher or lower? Well, the threads always go heavily rusty, so I'm going to coat these in grease so they don't. I need to get on the blower and order some top mounts. Because while I'm there, might as well put some top mounts, you know what I mean. So we've got a full kit, happy, they look good, actually. Yeah, happy with that so far. We've obviously got keys to adjust them, and then we've got the nut and bolts for the off-balance box. Nut and bolts for the axle flip. Again, I'm not going to do that in this video because I've already done it, but the video is in the video description. Getting quite hard to say that. But we've opened the box, we've made a mess. Installation instructions. So there's instructions in the book, in the box. Max Peding rod since 2006. Oh, pretty good. Might have a look at that. Cup of tea, biscuits, lunchtime. Let's get the van on the ramp and let's start macking off. Oh yeah, try that again. Take two with the microphone turned on this time. You might already see ground clearance is low. So they are E-back, 60mm, springs, shocks, original. Drives good, but it ain't got the lows. If it ain't scrubbing, it ain't dubbing. I believe that's the saying. I need to get it on some blocks because it's already too low for my ramp arms to fit under. I may have to drive on 2 blocks to get it off. Service now. Please refuel. Loads of tight ass lights coming on. But obviously, priorities, we've got to lower it. But in all seriousness, I do need to service it. It's been a while. I built this, I've done, don't know, 15,000 miles. Absolute 0 problems. Best motor I've ever had. I'm going to crack the wheels off, get the ramp legs under, get it up in the air, and a job I may do this time, the bonnet prop 10,000, from when I done the front end swap, there was a little bit that I didn't weld on. Might do it now, might treat it, might not, we'll find out. Let me get it up in the air. First of all, I have been trying to save this sound deadening since I've had the van, and it is looking extremely untidy. I even spray glued it, as if that was going to fix it, but I tried to spray glue it. But they do keep a good bit of sound out. These padding, waddings, whatever they are, they keep a good bit of sound out. So I tried to save on it, and it looks untidy. We have a half-tidy van, and I went to one of the blue water meets, and someone said, "Oh, pop your bonnet, let's have a look." I'm like, nah, because it is absolutely hanging under the bonnet. It's just a BKD 2-litre TDI. There's a video on that swap if you want to do it. Best 4-pot TDI engine ever made, in my opinion. The predecessor, the 1.9 PD, is better in some ways. I think they could take a bit more power, but they're a bit noisy, the old 1.9s. I've got one in my transit. Oh. Well, that would definitely perk up a transit for sure. I have got one in my T5, but it is a bit noisier. I should have maybe, possibly, definitely, should have put a BKD in my T5. I've not seen anyone do that. Oh man, there is like 30 of these little metal clips. I did have a spare one of these scuttle panels, and I was going to paint it shiny black, but I didn't, and I think I threw it away like an idiot. Oh mate, that is absolutely minging. I did sound deaden, dodo mat, dodo sound, mat deaden. I did sound deaden the back of this because that keeps a lot of noise out. So I did sound deaden the back of it, but that's not going back on. But now because I've got spray glue on it, I've made my job a bit harder. I will tart up under the engine bay one day. We'll get there sometime, maybe, never. To do the front suspension, we need to get the wiper arms off, the plastic scuttle, that piece, and this plate. And the reason for that is you need to get to the top 13mm bolts that hold it in. One. Oh, mine's got a bolt missing. Whoever built this van. 10mm bolts, nuts, bolts. So you might think you're going to take that off. I'm like, look, see, not a liar. I did dodo soundproof mat. Makes a bit quieter in the cabin. So you can get to those 3 suspension top mount bolts. There's 3 13mm bolts facing downwards, but this side you can't get to them. So I need to take the wiper motor out, pop the caps off. Are they 13s? I think they're 13mm or 15s that hold the wiper arms off. Get this plastic out the way, and then we need to get the whole motor out the way, which are T40 Torx, 3 of them. I'll whip these out, we'll have a better look. Still blue under here. Who didn't paint the engine bay? They were T30 Torx that held the wiper motor in, not T40. My bad. Shimmy that out. So now we can see the 3 13mm bolts facing downwards. We don't want to undo the one in the middle, not just yet. You'll have a bad time if you've undone that now. But before we undo those, and there's something I've got to tell you about these 30mm bolts because they can be a pain with the top mounts. I'm going to move on to the side and drop the hub off. Might take the whole hub off. Sometimes makes it easier when you're trying to fandangle them back in. I'm going to do one side and refresh my memory, and then I'll show you guys how to do it. Who's put all the nuts and bolts here right in the way? Someone didn't think that through. Oh. Sorted. I have remembered. I've undone the drop link. I used a buzz gun, turned the steering to the right, got a buzz gun, loads of lubrication in and out. Drop link is detached from the shock absorber. I have taken out the pinch bolt that goes through the back of the hub, M12 one end, 18 the other. I've also, and this is a tip from me, in my video where I've done the suspension before, I drop most of the hub off. Some of you commented and said, why are you wasting your time? You know you can just graunch it downwards, which ends up squashing the CV boot, and you end up levering stuff down, proper graunching it out the way. No, I don't want to do it like that. I have undone the bottom 16mm bolts, so the wishbone, wherever he is, wishbone pushes down. I've then pulled the hub out and pulled the drive shaft out. So drive shaft bolt out, pulled the hub out. I'm going to turn the steering to the left. So now I've got access, and I've got a pinch bolt opener, 10,000, It's one of these basically. I will put a quick picture up of what they look like. And rather than just beating this hub assembly downwards, because we need to get the hub off, you put one of these funky tools in, turn it sideways, and it does absolutely nothing. Why doesn't that open that up? Maybe I need the bigger one. Let me get the bigger one. Let's try that again. Bigger one, but this one's a homemade one. This isn't, is it bigger? Yes. It's an M8 threaded bolt, and I just cut 2 grooves in the side. You turn the bolt 90 degrees, and it opens the shock up. Well, this is a homemade one, so it doesn't work as well, but it works well, not as well. That's opened. Now, you might have thought I would have got a hammer. So I have got a copper mallet hammer because I don't want hammer marks on my hub. And like a silly sausage, I did paint my shock absorbers. They're still fresh, not rusty at all. But they're quite tight. Well, my shock hub opener 10,000 didn't work. I'm going to wrestle and we'll have a better look. We got the bolt, pinch bolt opener, spreader tool situated a bit better. Got a bit of gear in there, bit of squirt, WD-40, any lubricant, and it's nearly there. I have got a block of wood and a breeze block underneath to catch it. So obviously when we knock it off here, it's still attached on the track rod end, but we don't want all the cables tugging and snagging and just not being nice. But my block of wood is too thick. Of course it is. Let's get a cloth under there. Don't want to scratch my fresh disc. Wrong hammer. Ooh, that is quite heavy. Be prepared. Now that is it. We've literally got the 330mm bolts on the top. And before I mentioned you need a tip, because sometimes the bolts start spinning in the top mount. Then you've got to get up there with a pair of mole grips, or you've got to cut the nut or the bolt off the top. I've already had mine apart, so hopefully they're not too bad. So be prepared. If you're doing VW of this era, whether it's a Golf, a Caddy, Touran, all the top mounts are the same. So if you go to undo the top bolts at the top and it's just spinning, it's spinning under here. So if you can't get to it with mole grips up there, you need to cut the bolt head off, and that is a pain. I've already had these off once, so hopefully they come off. I'll whip these off and we'll find out. Well, I have been lucky. 2 of them have undone, and we're down to the 3rd one, the last one. As I say, I did take them all apart before, but I didn't replace the top mounts because when I built the van the first time, I had just bought a Touran, so I used all the Touran bits and they had not long been replaced, so I reused them. But we got fresh yet this time. Come on. Is it spinning? Oh, no, it is not spinning. And the paint, that I painted them, they've stayed clean. You fit a new set of shock absorbers, like standard format, like these, 5 minutes later they're rusty. These have stayed shiny because I painted them shiny black. But let's offer it up to one of the others and see what they look like. So we've got old shock, we've got new shock, and they're not handed. Hang on, they are handed. They are handed. And of course, 50-50 chance I've picked up the wrong one. And the reason they're handed, they're slightly offset. What? Well, this is exactly the same as that one. So forget what I said, they're not handed. and I don't think they are on a car anyway. I will whip the other one off in a minute and we'll find out. Now, I did get new top mounts. I've just said in a shot 30 seconds ago. I didn't replace them before. I'm going to do it now. We've got Monroe top mounts, pretty good. 36 quid for a pair, saves doing it twice. Before, because coilovers are known for going rusty around the threads. So before they get any chance to rust out, I'm going to put some copper grease on them. Now, copper grease isn't the prettiest. I would rather a bit of copper grease in a few areas than a show and shine motor where everything's gleaming, no grease on it. I would much rather a bit of grease on it. At least that way, if you need to adjust them at a later date, you can. So these don't have a grub screw in the lock rings. You just lock them up together. That's why you've got two keys. Should we go on the lowest? Should we just go straight to the deck? So that is all the way down. And the reason I put the copper grease on before winding it down is so the copper grease went in the threads. I am also going to put a little bit on this exposed thread showing. So that's a cinched. Is that the right word? I'm not trying to sell you a motor. Cinch. They are cinched down. I am going to put a bit, not loads, not hanging, just a little bit over the threads. If ever I want to adjust them up, I want it to happen. And I don't want them going rusty. That's enough. The lightest smear, apart from that bit. Oh yeah, he's down. He's a rubber stopper, like so. Yes, he fits in there. Does he fit in there? He does fit in there. So obviously you've got an up and a down. The bit with the tight coils goes towards the lock rings and the adjusters. I have a 21mm. If you haven't got a 21mm, you will need a 21mm drop ring spanner and a 5 or a 6mm hex. I think it's 5, might be 6. That is tight enough in my house. Spring's not rattling around, top mount's turning nicely. They're on their lowest, and that is about it. How much shorter is it? They're meant to range from 50 to 100mm drop. That's definitely a bit smaller. We've got Andy over there. Oh yeah. I'm going to fit this in reverse of taking it off. I'm going to do the other side, and then I'll quickly show you the rear hangers, the rear shackle plates. That's going to be low. That is it all back together. I have wiped off my grubby paw prints off of everything. We've got a little bit of copper grease on the threads. I did put some copper grease on the nut and bolt, the pinch bolt, and any of the other nuts and bolts. We don't want them seizing in there. We don't want them locking off. Yeah, happy days. I did clean my calipers while I was there. They still look sweet. 345mm discs off the Audi S3, freshly painted calipers. There is a video on them if you want to see it on the channel. Anyway, let's. I'm going to get the wheels back on, lift it up. Let's have a look at the back. I'm excited. Van's up in the air, and I'll just quickly explain what's going on with the shackle plates. So those metal plates we saw at the start would bolt on the bottom, because when you do an axle flip, the axle is there. That normally runs underneath the spring, but when you flip the axle, you put the axle on top of the spring. This mounting point was on the top. I cut that off and welded it on the bottom. Again, in the video, the lowering video, I explain everything about that. But if you don't want to do cutting and welding, this lives on the top, and then those metal plates live under there, and that's what you do for the axle flip. I do need to change the shock absorbers out for the new ones. They'll be nice and fresh. And we've got the adjustable rear hangers, multiple holes. I did cut 2 of them off. They hung down a bit low, so I cut 2 off. I'm going to lower it to the lowest one. We're going on the deck. One thing to point out, when you do that, you do need to cut the bump stops down. This had 1 and 2 more bumps. I just cut it off, reciprocating saw, hand saw, anything, just lop them off. And one thing I have seen on a lot of the forums, let me scooch down, when you lower it, I do hear people saying, well, I've got a knocking on the back now. Can we see this little kiss on the exhaust? When this is lowered down, the exhaust hits the rear axle. So you either need to move your exhaust up or maybe dent that bit of pipe. Mine knocks a tiny bit on the lowered setting we've got it now, so it's going to knock a lot. When I drop it down 2 notches, I'm just going to heat that up with a blowtorch and bang it in just a little bit, because that is what is knocking when you lower the rear of your van. Let me get these shocks on and lower these shackle plates, and let's get it on the deck and get it outside. How do you think it's going to look, And?
It's amazing, mate. It's going to look amazing.
On the deck.
On the deck.
Finished. And it might be as anticlimactic, I don't know, it might not be as dramatic a drop as you were thinking. What was going on there? That is my phone. I didn't want it too low. You see some motors and they are literally creeping over speed bumps. I'm really happy with how low it is. And the reason why it's not as dramatic as you might have thought, I already had 60mm drop on the front and axle flip on the rear. It has dropped 30mm front and rear. That is about as low as I think it needs to go. Any lower, they're a pain to be undrivable. I'm on the bottom notch on the rear hangers, so literally, or the top hole, sorry, which is the lowest setting. On the fronts, we've got standard drop links. I see a lot of questions and comments on the Caddy pages, people saying, what drop links do I use for the coilover suspension? Standard drop links. Good ones, but standard. Yeah, happy. I could just get my hand under there. We are on a bit of a bumpy estate. We need to see how firm the ride is. I love how it looks. GoPro's on charge. Let's get it clipped up and let's go for a drive. Oh yeah. Well, it's definitely lower. I haven't scraped on anything yet. Let's see how it is. Service now. Please refuel. I'm gonna know straight away. I know this van inside out. And my estate is bumpy as anything. It's like the worst road you could ever imagine. I don't know how fast to go. If you go too fast and catch it, that splitter's going to go poof. That'll be 80 quid down the loo. Well, here's a bad bit. First of all, it doesn't feel that firm. I'm a bit scared. Once I've been up and down the estate a few times, I'll know how low it is. But initially, it's not too bad. That bit of the exhaust I mentioned that's going to hit on the rear axle, I did heat it up with a blowtorch and just dented it in ever so slightly. It gave me another 5–10mm clearance. Right, here's a speed bump. I'll show you. I'll get a clip. I'll insert it now. Not too bad actually. I reckon I can do at least 15, 20 over that. Yeah, it's not that bad. Not that bad at all. Nice. No, I used to donk on the exhaust on the rear axle going over that. And I didn't want it any lower. If it was any lower, it'd be a nightmare to drive anywhere. When you go to a show and see all these vans or cars aired out on the ground, they can't drive around like that. They're literally that low to be parked. So I know this van inside out and it doesn't seem any firmer. Still rides good. I am only on 18s. If you got 19s, maybe 20s, I've seen people put 20s on a Caddy. It might feel different, but I'm still rolling on 18s, cold rolling. Handles well, feels good. Yeah, for the money. So what are they? What did I mention at the start of the video? 179 quid, 176 quid with the 10% off DTETV code. Enter it into the Max Peding website. For the money, brilliant. Longevity wise, how long they're going to last, I don't know. But they feel good. Feel really good. We're obviously going through town areas, so I can't hoon it. But if it's 30, if the speed limit's 30, I can do 30, whether that be round a corner or not, right? As long as it's safe. Yeah, feels good. I haven't scrubbed that at all. I was worried about the splitter and the front bumper. Is it firmer? It's not unpleasant. And Dill, everyone says it. You see the memes on Facebook about potholes in their town. It is bad this year, I do agree. It's the same in every town. Dill is absolutely jam-packed full of potholes. I was going to say pinholes then, thinking about body filler. Oh, it feels good. Yeah, I'm happy. Really happy. 30 miles left of fuel. It's loads. Diesel. You've got 50 when the light's on. Light is on. Yeah. For the money, again, I can't rate them enough. First of all, obviously, first impressions. The quality looked good. The ride, I'm surprised. I was expecting it to be like an old skateboard, like an old Nova with cut down springs, like. But it's really not bad. Let's find some potholes. Let's not do that. Yeah, really impressed. Left mirror's a bit down, so I'm just going to go on a bit of a faster road. Get the old traction control off. We'll skip to then, so you ain't got to watch the boring bit. I've got traffic lights. There's traffic lights as you go out of Dill. They have been there for a while. Then they went, then they're back. But I'll get past them. Got stuck at the traffic lights. We're on a 60 road, by the way. Oh, it feels good. I am very impressed. I weren't sure what to expect, if I'm honest, because they are a cheaper brand. I can't afford Bill Steins and all the posh stuff, but yeah, for the money, brilliant. Big thank you to Max Peding Rods for supporting the channel. Do appreciate it. Don't forget to go on their website, Max Peding Rods. I will put a link in the video description, and I will put a link to this exact kit in the video description. And when you click on it, it should take you straight to the cheaper price. There's a bit of a bump here. Yeah, not bad. Give it some beans. Of course, guys. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We've got a roundabout. It's a bit of a dead end road, so it's not like I'm hooning round the local roundabout. Absolutely planted. Really impressed. Yeah, happy days. We're going to call it good. Check out the Max Peding Rods website. All links are in the video description. We're going to do an outro from the car. Car, van, same meat, different gravy. If you enjoyed the video, click the thumbs up. More VW content on the channel, whether that be T5, Volkswagen Caddy. We got Andy's zero budget Caddy. That could do with a set of coilovers. Max Peding Rods. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, guys. I'm out. Oh yeah.